May the 9th, 1998. We just finished playing football and then we just went in. We saw two elders and just said, you need to come with us to the second house. So I think that was the point that everything just changed, So when they brought him in, laid him in the casket and they opened it, and I think I can never forget that picture, I thought I would be okay. From there. But we went from there to nothing. We now need to be matured. And maturity means responsibility. That word changed my life. Joy is a state of being. Joy for me is not about the circumstance I'm going through. Even though I was feeling numb, I could still smile. So I still led 6 a.m. prayer. There is pain, but beyond, deep in the rock of pain can be water and can be honey. I believe there's a purpose for pain. And my response in the time of pain will determine what I get out.
Hi everyone, welcome to another Soul episode. In today's episode, we have a guest. He is Pastor Adedayo Phillips. He's a man who walks boldly in both spiritual and strategic spaces. He was raised in Ogun State, Nigeria. His journey took a life-defining turn when he lost his father in 1998. And from that moment on, he was thrust into maturity and responsibility more earlier than most children would have. And he understood what it meant to be a man at a very young age. He basically wears many hats. He's a pastor, he's an accomplished program manager. He is a business owner, a consultant, and a real estate entrepreneur. But it is heart for legacy, for depth of grief, and commitment to living a life of purpose that truly defines him. He went from losing his family members to rebuilding from wealth that was lost. His story is one of resilience, maturity, and transformation. Without further ado, Pastor Adedayo, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me here. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's a beautiful house.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful house. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And I've been looking forward to this for the longest time. So I'm praying and I'm hoping that God will move.
Amen. Amen.
And lives will be transformed.
Amen.
By your story.
Amen. Amen. I do agree, and I pray that's him too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good to have you. Let's start from you and your early age.
Yeah.
You lost your father in 1998 at a very young age.
Yes.
How has that affected, or how has that changed your worldview? How did it change the way you see the world, as well as the way you see yourself?
Wow, okay. I think that was a defining moment for me, to be honest. I think I was 14. I won't forget where I was. I think my younger brother at the time, we just finished playing football or something. And then we saw two elders. One of them was an in-law to my mom, and I can't tell you who the second person was. Came to the house on this fateful day. I think about it was May the 9th, 1998. So that was tell you in the evening, and just said, we just finished playing football, and then we just went in. Then they came in a station wagon. That's to tell you, 504 station wagon, and just said, you need to come with us to the second house. So we had 2 houses that were living in a different state, in a different town in the same state. So you've got to come with us to your house. And my mom said, okay, what's the problem? I think after a bit of persuasion, they said, oh, your husband has been in an accident, so he's just at home waiting for you. But I think my mom knew something had changed. So we drove from Ilaro then, that's the state, and that's the town, back to Songwater, where the other house was. And then I think that was the point that everything just changed, I remember clearly, we got home, it was dark. It was a bit dark. I think it must have been around 8 or 9 p.m. And the house was full of people. And I think the only thing I can remember then was that my mom started crying. I think she understood that. I've never been in that kind of scenario before, so I didn't know. And I had 2 younger ones then. And then after that, sat us down and they told us, oh, this is actually the thing that happened. It's late, it's not around here anymore. I don't think it sank in. I just said, well, it's okay. I didn't really understand what it meant, to be honest. So I went upstairs and then I saw people rushing, come away. I was like, what? I'm just taking fresh air. And to be honest, I just came out of the house, went on the stairs, external stairs, just to take a bit of fresh air because it was very breezy in that area, and people started running out. Where is he? Where is he? Like, where is
How
what?
old were you?
14. I was 14 at the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's wrong? I'm just chilling. To be honest, I didn't understand what was happening. Yeah, I just felt it's past. Okay. I thought things were still okay. But actually, that was the beginning of a long journey. So from that point, I think we buried him 2 days after, May the 11th. And
Was that when it sank in?
to be honest, the question, I would never forget this question I asked. Something said, "You're not seeing him again." So when they brought him in, laid him in the casket in the compound before we went for the burial, they opened and said, "Do you identify?" I think that's it now dawns on me when you say, "Can you identify that this is your father?" And I was called to do that because like, you're the first son, you're the child, come forward. Everybody was gathered around. We want you to identify if this is it's just funny, if this is your father. And they opened the casket and then it still felt, oh, wow. I don't think then it didn't really mean, it just meant, well, I've still got my mom, haven't I? It will be okay, won't we? I don't think I understood what it was. I just said, yes, it's him. And then covered, and then we went to church for the service. But what happened was on the way back, something said you won't see him again. You won't see him again. When we got back home, I don't think it was a normal request. What I asked was, could I see him one more time? I had to ask the people that were doing whatever they do then, can I just see him one more time? And they said, but someone amongst them said, that's a rare request. It's sealed now. He just has to go in the ground and stuff. I said, no, I don't know where that came from. I just said, I need to see him again. And they opened it, and I think that picture I can never forget that picture, of what I saw the last time. And I think that's 20-something years ago now. But I thought I would be okay. I thought I would be okay from then on. And how did it change my life? Really, it was when everything that I thought he had we started selling them off one by one. I think, just to feed. There was no planning for what will have happened after that. I think he passed as a young man, so so it was still in his early 40s. So and he must have thought he would live forever. So there was no plan. We sold off the 2 cars thereabout. Families came and said, "We need." I think that was when it was beginning to dawn that this is real. People that would never had access started having access to everything. And my mom was a full-time housewife, so you could understand what I mean because he was doing all the taking care of, and I think that's shaped my view of never saying to a woman, "Don't fulfill your dream." That's one, because I think that was a full way to handicap someone's destiny. Say, I'm not saying he did a very good job taking care of us. Yeah, he did a very good job because I would never say I came from. I think it would be false of me to say, "Oh, there was nothing." I did enjoy my childhood. No, there was enough. Maybe they were covering stuff, but I knew there was enough. I went to one of the best private schools in our state, and I think he gave us the best. I would never forget when he said I was going to go to the UK to study for my college. So I wouldn't say there was not enough, but we went from there to nothing. It was a massive decline, especially having a mother who wasn't working at the time. Well, we were begging people for jobs. Yeah, it was that bad because we didn't have access to us in the bank because there was no next of kin, there was no will.
Right. So when you say people started having access that was never in the picture, what does that mean?
So I think we were shielded from family, we were shielded from what life really was. He was my wife and I kind of. I'm sure people will understand when you say there was a proper nuclear family. It's me, my wife, and my children. So he would take care of his family without his family members coming into the house to do anything. So I was not used to any of my cousins or any of his family as my dad's side family. So, but after his passing, those people that were family started asking. I think the first one was the accusation of, my mom killed him. That was the first accusation. And I think that started sinking in. And then people said, can we live in the house with you? At the time of the morning period, we had my mom's family were staying just to take care of us, just to make sure that everybody was okay. I think my father's side was saying, you're taking over his things. So we need to also have access to those things. And they were asking questions like, can we sell this? Can we sell this? And I was privy to that information. There's a debt somewhere. I remember clearly somebody said the house in Songwater at the time was under the bank. I think there must have been a time he actually loaned money using the house, where he had paid it off. But people didn't know he had paid it off.
Yeah.
So they said, they're going to take the house from you now. So you can see the access. They were real accusing that the bank is going to take this house from you. There were people inside that knew about it said, you need to start packing up because they're coming to take the house from you. They picked up the cars, sold the cars right before us.
So the extended family members of your dad's side came and took over your dad's possession.
Yes.
And you couldn't do anything about it.
14, what do you want to do? My mom was still grieving, I'm sure. And they said if there were debts there, because we didn't have access to any of the money in the bank, we had to find a way to do the burial. And there's no insurance. I'm sure people would understand that there's no insurance. So I think people must have loaned or given money, or maybe have gifted money that we thought were gifts to do the burial, but we'll have come back to say you're owing this and that. So the only way to pay it without a woman that was not working or physical cash was to sell things. So she was forced to sell things that she didn't sell, but people will say we have to sell the car now, so that we can cover that debt that you owe.
So when this, I'm not sure how much of this you would know, but when they sold the houses and the cars, did the proceeds go to the family or to your mother?
It didn't go to anyone. It went to the debt that they said we owed from the burial. That's what they said.
Right.
Yeah, because I remembered how much they wanted to sell one of the cars, which was at the time, 1998, was a Mercedes-Benz 230E at the time. And I think that was the best of the cars at the time. I think it was sold for 140,000 naira. But I have a feeling that the car was worth more than that. But that was what they sold it for.
Right.
But my mom, because we're living in the house in Songwater, that couldn't be sold because people had the family had the notion that the house was under possession by the bank. But the bank never. Actually, there was a time people from the bank came in, but we had someone who was a dad's friend who was from my mother's side, who was also close, who was a lawyer that said, I can prove to you that he doesn't owe you any money. And that was the last time we saw the bank people. Maybe they were fake bank people, I don't know. But there was something that taught me. They came in all dressed in tie, brought some whole documents. But this man, I will never forget him. He leads down the road. I don't want to begin to mention names, but he is in Abuja now. Actually, the daughter is in Sheffield now. Said, I know he doesn't owe you anything. And these are documents I can show. He's paid it off. And those people never walked back into the house till today. Well, yes, till today.
Wow.
And that was because my mother she didn't have a voice at the time. And I think that was when things started shaping up for me, because we had to leave our private schools. We had to leave everything. We everything went down the drain.
If you don't mind me asking, what was the relationship like between you and your father? So
from the age of 11, I think I would say this, I didn't get to know him as an adult. So I enjoyed, it wasn't really because of he was working back to back, not working for someone else. He had his own business. He had his own business all through, since he started giving birth to us, I think. Yeah. From the age of 11, we started living together. We lived together for about 2.5 years, 3 years.
From the age of 11?
Yeah, because he was very absent in the sense that he travels a lot. He wasn't around. He's always traveling, doing business. And I think that's just because he was the sole earner of the house. So I think he needed to do his business the way he does his business. So he wasn't around. But we moved in with him when I was about 11 years or 12. But what I want to say there is that I don't think I knew him very well. The last years were when he was introducing me to independence. Like he could call me and say, could you go with the driver and go do this for me? That was fun because you're like, whoa, he's trusting me with something. I will never forget the first thing he asked me to do was to go post a business letter. Then it was postage in the post office and make sure that it will reach there, do the right thing. To be honest, I was even scared, like, I hope I don't mess his business up.
Yeah.
But he asked me to envelope it, write the address, and go post this letter to wherever I was going. Go with the driver. That was the first business thing he exposed. I was like, wow. He allows me to enter into his library and just shows me one or two things. And I think that was when I thought our relationship was beginning to form. That, actually, he's training us for something. Me for something, my younger brother, but me for something. But it didn't last because we moved in with him about 12 years, thereabout, and it was only 2 years and it was gone.
Would you say that that's why your reaction to his death, the news of his death, was in that way that you explained, in the sense that you weren't as emotional?
The first time I cried about, I don't think I was emotional. Yes, I think that's the reason, because the first time I cried about losing him was when I was doing in SS2. At the time, when he passed, I was in SS1, going to SS2. But it was in SS2 when someone said something about a locker in the school I was going to at the time, which was a public school. And I remember that nobody like this has a way to talk to me like this, because I know where I was coming from. So that made me cry that I wish he was around, because I would have all my needs taken care of. That was after like a year or so, when things were hard though. But I think I think the last 2 years it just left a presence that made me independent. Let me just put it that way, because I do believe I became very independent after that. Very independent after that. Not in a bad way, but in a very constructive way, despite the fact that, So I think the last 2 years, it did drill down independence into me. But I didn't have a long time with him. So I would say, I still feel he should be around now and see all this.
Yeah.
And be together now, and then learn one of those things. How did they go from working in a business to owning his own business for that many years, having to do business in high places? How did he do that? I wish I only had 2 years to even get a glimpse of it at all, but I didn't learn that much. But whatever he taught me then is taking me this far, to be honest.
So I have to ask that you, as a 14-year-old, had to grow up really quick.
Yeah.
You were the firstborn, and we all know the amount of pressure that's on firstborn.
Yes.
That, okay, now you're the man of the house.
Yes.
And you have to take care of your mom. You have to take care of the rest of your siblings as well. What was the weight of all of that? How did that feel? And I suppose my other question would be in the sense that, what do you think a dad is, and the role of a dad or the role of a father? Because you could talk from the emotional aspect. Because a lot of people say today that it is not enough just being physically present, but being emotionally present.
Yes.
In your case, it seems as though dad was not necessarily physically present for the majority of your growing up.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much emotionally present it was. But from your perspective, what was the weight like? And also, what do you think a father is or a dad is based on your experience?
Very powerful question. Let me talk about the weight first. I think I would always, and I'm mentioning names because I will mention this name because I think this really went in. So my dad at the time had a little ministry called Christ Evangelistic Ministry. He just had his own. He said God called him. I'll say one or two things later, but let me just not. He said God called him, and he did, and he really wanted to grow a church and a ministry, which he did. And when he passed, there was a pastor from a place called Ifo, Pastor Daniel Akitomide. I have to mention it because he was a very dynamic teacher, a very, very dynamic teacher of the Word of God. He took over the ministry to just help, doing fellowships and stuff. But it didn't last long because he had his own ministry also. On this beautiful evening, he sat me down. I would never forget the desk in the living room downstairs in the house. So we've got 2 living rooms. There's a place where visitors stay, like an anteroom. He sat me down in the anteroom, and I would never forget. He called the word, and that was the word I think changed everything for me till today. You now need to be matured. Maturity. And it wasn't about maturity in age. I was still 14. This was few months after that I passed. He said, now you have to be matured. And maturity means responsibility. I think that word changed my life. It's like matured, responsibility. I rededicated my life then because I had known Jesus already when I was in GS3. I was born into a Christian home, but I knew Jesus in school, in secondary school. Well, to be honest, it's knowing Jesus, but he could still do some other things. So, but I think I rededicated my life then when he spoke. And I think something must have entered into me. And this is what I think a dad is. A dad is the source. A dad is a caregiver. I'm not going to talk about maybe head of the house. No. A dad is a leader that leads by example and also stands behind to usher. Like when you take a shepherd and the sheep, a dad, even though he may not see everything, but he's there to provide wise counsel, to provide himself as a sacrifice. And I think it happens, a dad must be emotionally strong. A dad must not show his weaknesses, even to the children. A dad must be responsible. A dad is not about giving birth to children. A dad is about looking beyond the now, but living the now from the future. It's not, you're living in the now, but as a dad, you're living the now from an identity or a legacy from the future. And I think that's because I decided that very moment not to live life like my dad did. And now you might be wondering, oh, but I thought you would like your dad. Yes. But number one, I wasn't going to put anybody through the same kind of pain. I think it did not put us into intentionally, but we entered into unintentionally. I don't think anyone should put anyone through that. And for me, it's a dad is that person that plans tomorrow. If you're not there, what are you leaving behind? And this is not about properties. This is about what have you built those people that you call your own? What have you built them into? See, that's what because I could have enjoyed a bit more, empowering those around you. That's it. That I will empower my wife, but I don't think my mom was empowered. And I took that decision never to disempower anyone as a dad.
Is that the biggest legacy or the biggest lesson that you've learned from that experience?
I think that keeps my values, yes. Because like I said, it's from 100 to 0 very fast. 100 to 0, and then from 0 you're not maybe not even way worse than 0, maybe minus 100, just went all the way down back to the poorest. You have a big house to maintain, and everything declined. I could see automatic decline, and for me, it's how do you remain present while ensuring that everything around you does not, if you're not there, if you're taken out of the picture, the people there are empowered to still carry on.
Yeah.
That's for me is the biggest thing.
It's like building a system.
Yeah.
Right? Building a system with your children, with your wife,
Yes.
with people around you, so that when you are not there, it's almost like business. Where they
It's
say
like,
you build a process, you build a system.
Automate it.
Automate it
Yes.
so that when you're not there, it can continue to run. That is the goal.
Yes. Our life stopped. Our lives were begging principals to allow us to go into schools, from a good school, a good private school, to begging public school headmasters to take us in. I remember then one of the schools said they can't take me in because I was going to prepare for SS3 WAEC, so they can't take me in, but they would take my brother in. And getting your family to be, a family together now become a family separated. My sister was living somewhere else. I was living I had to go to school in a different state, in Oyo State, in boarding house, paid for by good people. One of my aunts was paying my way in school. We couldn't pay school fees anymore. Life. So I don't think that's the way to live. I think it's building whatever it is. You put it in a way that nobody is disempowered around you.
Yeah. And you've really been through some hard challenges.
Yeah.
And my next question to you, because not only is it great for people to know, but for myself as well, you have navigated multiple losses.
Yes.
multiple.
Yes.
You lost your dad in 1998.
Yeah.
You lost your unborn child.
Yes.
Your sister
Yes.
in 2009.
Yeah.
And your brother in
2 years ago.
2022, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
How
Actually,
do you...
23, 2 years today.
Wow.
2 years today. So, yeah. So maybe I should say, we're not doing this today, but 2 years exactly today.
How do you manage to navigate these grievances and still hold on to hope? Because when I came in, you were laughing, you were smiling, you were having great conversation. But over the years, especially in the last few years, you've gone through quite a lot. How do you manage to just navigate that?
I'll say something that I said to my wife when this happened. I don't think 2 years ago. Okay, I'll say two things and then I'll go into this. I think joy as a state of being, joy as a state of being is one of them. And two is the fact that I think I think just knowing joy, let me just put it at joy and maybe through the conversation. 2 years ago, I said to my wife, after praying for 7 days straight, 7 days, took the time off and went to pray in a place to say, all I want is that my brother should come back to life. That before he's put into the ground, even to the moment they put him into the ground, I've never seen, But one thing I said is, it's too late to go back. I can't leave Jesus anymore. Because it's too much. She said, how are you managing it? I said, I can't leave him now anymore. So when this song came out and people said, people laugh at stuff and dance and trend on stuff. But I said to myself, when I listened to this new song, Never Turning Back, I just said, and it just reminded me of that statement I made 2 years ago, that it's too late to turn back from Jesus for me. It's too late. I think I had every right to forget about it. I think I do. It's just too much. In less than a few months, back to back, unborn child, and then someone that was not sick at all. Tragic. Nothing. Prayed. People say we prayed, but he still passed. Prayed. God, if you called me, do this for me. Just let him come back that I can know. But one thing that I would say is I didn't let my emotional state or my pain push me away from the purpose of what God has called me into. I still hold on to him as my only hope and the hope of resurrection that one day we'll all see again. So for me, joy is not about smile, but for me, joy is a state of being and nothing should tamper with that joy.
You say it's a state of being. Maybe you can expatiate on that a bit more. And what's the difference between joy and happiness?
Okay. So joy for me is not about the circumstance I'm going through. I'll give you this scenario. I can put them side by side. On the night of 26th of May, 2023, I was very tired. Maybe it's a sign that I should pray, but I was so tired that I could not do anything. I just said, I told my wife, I'm so tired and I'm going to bed. It was warm on that day, so I slept without a top. At 10:58, she woke me up and said, we've got two of our family friends, but they're also members of our partners in our church. I don't call members, I say partners. Everyone is a partner because we're all children of God. So I said, the first thing that came into my mind was, oh God, what problem am I going to settle again tonight? So I started praying, Lord, give me wisdom, give me utterance that I can settle whatever the issue is. I don't know. Who thinks like that? But I just thought maybe there was an issue at home with them and they wanted to come, I'm like, at this time of the night, wow, church members in the house. What? So I prayed, said, Lord, give me courage. Give me courage. I'm going to speak to these people that whatever the issue is, I didn't know it was the issue. I didn't know it was about me. I said, just God, give me wisdom that I may be able to settle this. Went downstairs and they said, Pastor, please sit down. Okay, Pastor, sit down. He was downstairs in the first room. And they said, well, Pastor, sit down. Okay, all right. Then they called. What really triggered it was they called one of my uncles, who is also a pastor in Nigeria. They said, they want to talk to you. What's going on here? And they said, Bukola is gone. Oh, what does that mean? But I didn't cry. And I'm coming to something, that's why there was no tears at all. Maybe it's numbness, I don't know. I just, and I had to preach on Sunday. And I had to also lead, we do a 6 a.m. prayer meeting every morning. I still led 6 a.m. prayer meeting the next morning. As after, throughout the night, we were awake because all we could do was pray in tongues and pray, Lord, you could do this, raise him up. So we prayed. When we got tired of praying, about 4 a.m. we went to bed. I couldn't sleep, so I still led 6 a.m. prayer and still went to church on Sunday to preach. It happened on a Friday. The only reason was because I had a state of being that was not affected by the circumstance of grief. That is a state of being. Happiness is when I get a job and I say, yes, I got it. The circumstance will make the emotion of happiness. Joy for me wasn't an emotion. Happiness is an emotion that can fluctuate with the way I feel. I don't have to feel to be joyful. So I didn't have a feeling. Even though I was feeling numb, even though I cried on the day of his burial, my daughters will always say that, Dad, I've never seen you like that before. I cried. I had to, because I thought that was it. But there was something. I could still smile. So I will never forget, because my daughter said this, that, Daddy, but you were laughing while you were crying. I would laugh, but you could see the emotions. Joy for me is the state of my being in the present, irrespective of what I was going through. And then early in the morning of October, when my wife said, blood, 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 what came into my mind was, switch on now and be a rock. We hold it tomorrow. No, you are a rock. You are a dad. You are a rock. Remember that. You must be strong. Despite all the days of bitterness and crying that she had, all I could do was be there to just say, it's going to be okay. That is from a place or a being that is beyond emotions. And that for me is joy.
And did you feel like you had to be that for your family?
I've been taught to be that. I've learned to be that. In the sense that, I think what grief has done for me has taught me life, the way I see life. I think, quite a few losses here. But what it has done for me is break hardness and made me come to a place of surrender. It's broken complete hardness. I don't have to be anything. I just have to be what God says I am. I don't have to be, I'm not pleasing anybody. Losing people is not pleasing anybody, but I've just got to be who is God saying I am. I am a rock. He has made me to be there. I'll give you what happened. So on Wednesday, when we were still praying and saying, Lord, raise my brother, a church member lost a very close family member. Didn't know anything and called us.
Said, didn't know about your situation?
No, didn't know, because I didn't tell anyone in church. And that's I still laugh at myself that how would you go to church, preach on a Sunday morning and still dance like nothing happened? I don't understand what that is. On Wednesday, she called and said, Pastor, the lady who takes care of my children back at home, the lady is here alone, but because she could not come with her COS visa and stuff like that with the children yet, she left them back home and said, the lady has passed. So it's like their mom has passed. The Bible says we go through things that we may be comfort to others. That's what the Bible says. Immediately, my wife was beside me. We were in a place called Highmount at the time. We put aside what we were going through and we started calling people to say, please, could you go comfort this sister? Calling her to settle everything for her, to make sure that she's okay. When are you traveling back home? What are you going to do? We were crying, but we had to be a shoulder to somebody else. Life, you don't do that when you are. We could have just said to her, we are also having our own now. She never knew. The day she knew, because I had to announce it in church that, guys, everybody in church, we've just gone through this phase now. We're going through this phase. She came and said, what kind of human being are you? You didn't tell me you're going through this when you were there for me, standing with me. Because that night, I called somebody in church, one of the elders, could you go and speak to her? Because we were away. We put our pain aside to make sure that she was not crying, that she was able to stay. We were there as friends to comfort her before she traveled 2 days after to go be with the children. That is because you've got a state. It's not because you just want to be. It's because life has taught me Joy is beyond my circumstance. The Bible has said we go through life this way that we may be comfort to others. So finding purpose in my pain was critical. Through life, as a matured person, let me put it that way. The man said, Pastor Akitomide said, it's not a age thing. It's not an age thing. It's a spiritual thing. It's something that's built you on. It's something that you are responsible for. It's not about your age. And that switched off. And that switched me on. Switched off the childishness and brought me to a place where what does it take to be matured? It's joy. A state of learning that things around you can be stormy, but you must remain as Jesus wants you to remain. A man that was going to the cross, and all he could think about was the people. My God, what have I gone through? Yet. So, I'm not doing it for people, but that's who I am. That's it. It's not about people, it's who I am.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
It's something that I've found hard to do. How do you, or what do people get wrong most when they're trying to comfort people that are in pain? When these things happen, I have no idea what to say. I have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are a lot of people in the same position that I am.
Yeah.
What do people get wrong, and what can people do better?
I think very simple. People want to fix the pain. People want to be there to fix the pain. No. Presence. You don't need to say anything. When there's pain, presence. Early COVID, I'm sure you know who I'm about to talk to, but I won't call names now because early COVID. Actually, at your wedding, there was someone that came that is now late. I'm sure you know the person I'm talking about. And I was reflecting about this. That's why I'm going to use this example. That was the last time I saw her. When she passed, I remember taking the car after service in church, drove down to the pastor's house, who happens to be one of my senior, in this. I didn't see anything. I just sat there for 2-3 hours. Just sat. Presence. He didn't sit with me. He was going in and out, attending to other people. Presence. There's no reason why you want to fix somebody's pain. Because especially when you've not been there before, you don't know how they're feeling. You cannot understand how they're feeling. So don't try to say, we don't know why it happened, because we don't know why it happened. We don't know what's happening. So it's not about what you say. It's about the presence. So the way to be with people that are going through grief is about being present. There's nothing to say that can, at that moment, fix the pain. Nothing. So don't try to say, God take it. Don't say that. Don't say anything. Don't say, my own family too, one time. Don't say that. Just be present and be encouraging. The Lord will uphold you. It's going to be well. It's about them. Forget about yourself and what you've gone through or what you have examples of. Forget that. And don't say, we will pray. You won't pray. Why are you even saying you will pray? Don't say anything. Don't make promises. Don't say I will be there. Everybody that said will be there for you, now your dad is gone. Nobody. Don't make promises. Don't do anything. Just be present. If you're going to spend 3 days with them, 3 days, be present. Just be there. What can I do for you? What can I do for you? It's going to be well. I remember when a friend of mine lost a dad and he had to go back to Nigeria. I lived in Coventry. Now this is just coming to me, I took time off work and said to my wife, I'm going to be with him. Took time, spent 3 days with him. He's in Nigeria. He's a close friend, from uni days. All I did was just stay with him. Load me with anything you want to. Tell me about your dad. He lost his dad. Wealthy man. Just load me with the information. I'm not going to judge anything. Just tell me. The only thing I have to say is, it's going to be well. It's going to be well. We prayed every single, twice a day for these 3 days. And all I wanted to be was a presence to him. That in my days of mourning, I had someone who didn't try to fix me, but just stayed. Because Jesus to us is by His Spirit a presence. Now, in our heart is a presence. So don't people try to say, let's fix it. You can't fix anybody, but you can be a present to people in the time of grief.
Yeah.
That's it.
One of the biggest questions or should I say arguments
Yeah.
against the existence of God.
Yeah.
And I'll bring it up in this scenario because I think you've gone through some experiences that can shed some light.
Yeah.
And one of the greatest arguments against God is that there's pain and suffering in this world.
Mm.
If there is a God, why is there pain and suffering in this world?
Yeah.
And you said it's too late now.
It's too late, yeah? No going back.
Can you explain to me how do you maintain that your faith, and what I understand it's too late, but what does it mean? What do you mean by it's too late? And how do you manage to maintain your faith through that difficult time? Is it a revelation that you figured out? Is it a resolve that you made, or is it an understanding knowing that God is God?
Oh, it's a powerful question. It's not a revelation. I think I know what people can do now is spiritualize it and say, yeah, I got a revelation. No, I didn't get any revelation. I did say this then. It's one too many now, Lord. It's one too many. No, I think it just struck me. I said, this is too much. I don't know what, but for me, my life will make a case for who God is, and I'll explain what I mean. In everything we go through in life, this is my stance. There is pain, but beyond, deep in the rock of pain, the rock is hard. Rock can be hard, but deep in that rock can be water and can be honey. I believe there's a purpose for pain. And my response in the time of pain will determine what I get out, either you're a Christian or not. Now, because it's not my response in the time of pain will determine the next step. And I'm not talking about God now alone, but my response in the time of pain, not my reaction, my response. My reaction can be crying, yes. But my response to pain will bring me to a place of purpose. I've always seen, this is me, I don't take other people's view a lot about things. I think maybe that's, so I believe if it's pain, let's flip it on its head. What's on the other side of pain? Yes, it's awful, but we all know we're going to die one day. But there's something more about this. Lord, what's next? So for me, I believe in Jesus. I believe he rose from the dead. And I think my question to him is, what's next for me in the pain? And that's I think that's critical for me. So it's the reason I said it's too late to go back is I lost the first person in my father. I lost my sister. I lost an unborn child. Hold on. What am I going to again? Wait. In this same Jesus, I've lost all this. Yeah, I've gained much more. I would say that. But what's the benefit of living where you've been to go and try something else? How many years do I need to go and try something else? So I said, I'm staying here because I've tried it. You've been good to me. So why go try something else? When you've said, I will bring out life from death. So show me what you can do. So I'm still waiting on him to show me what he can do. Yeah, but he's gone. He's gone. That's okay. But Jesus rose back from the dead. All right. Show me what you can do. I've trusted you now. It's up to you to show me what you can do. And that's what I believe is keeping me. I'm not saying I will see them again tomorrow. No. But there must be a benefit to have sustained and to have made people know that you are true, even in my pain. Then showcase yourself. So it's now, I've given him the burden of proof now. It's no longer on me. I've done what I think is best by standing firm with you, Lord. Now, I put you back on you. Showcase yourself. Show yourself.
At the end of the day, it's for the glory of God.
Right? Exactly. Show your glory in all this. Show your glory. Whatever your glory is, show your glory.
Do you believe in the power of ripple effect?
What do you mean?
In the sense that, so one way to explain it would be the pain that happens today as humans, we
Yeah.
are limited to what we can see.
Correct,
We're
yeah.
limited in our understanding.
Yes.
But God that can see outside of time, he can see how that incident can affect positively many and different lives and things that are to come. Do you believe in that?
I do. And that's why my response would be, do the next thing that is. It says in Romans 8, and we shouldn't be quoting scriptures because it says that for all things are working together for the good of they that everything God does is good. Hold on. If that's the truth, then my pain must have a good in it. So whatever the good is in this back-to-back, look, as a Nigerian or brought up in Nigeria, what has happened? People will look for somebody to blame. There must be something in their family. People will blame something. But Lord, I believe that there is nothing that you have not already fought. This is already done. Is it done? There's nothing. But you are doing much more. Then show yourself. So I believe there's a good in here. I believe there's a good in here. And that's what I'm waiting for. I'm hoping for that good. Because my last daughter was born just after my brother passed. To be honest, I was even thinking she was going to come on the day of his own birth, but actually came a day before my own birthday. So, and that's alone. When I come into that emotional state of this is too much, and then the next thing that is, but you know I'm good, and then I see her, I'm like, you are indeed good. That goes back. I just,
Yeah.
And that's it. So there is, if God is good, and because he is good, he would make, look, he's a rewarder. Lord, I have not let you down in the way I know how to. Now showcase yourself. That's it for me. Show yourself.
Yeah.
Show yourself.
Yeah. You are a father, a pastor.
Yeah.
You are a program manager.
Yeah.
You are a business owner,
Yeah.
a consultant. You invest in properties, into real estate.
Yeah.
How do you manage all of these things together, and what ties them together? You're a father of 3-4
Yeah.
children.
Yes. Yeah. What ties them together?
Yeah.
Purpose. I'm not here for myself. I'm here for something bigger than me. I'm not here for myself. You read about people like J.P. Morgan. He's long gone, isn't he? But J.P. Morgan, the bank is still there till tomorrow. You read about, you can read about people like Papa Agin. People I think the world is ruled by dead men.
Interesting.
Because everyone we make reference to today are mostly gone, and we say, look at this enterprise. And I think this is also key, is that because my father's business died with him. Immediately, my father's business, there was no one to run it, there was nothing. It died with him. I believe that if you're doing something more than yourself, it lasts longer than you. And that's what ties all this together. For me, it's the purpose. Why am I here? Why am I here? Wait, I'm not here to just come and pass time. I'm here for a purpose. And for me, everything that ties that together is fulfilling, not finding, is fulfilling purpose. I used to say this to my wife, that I don't go to work every day because I want to earn salary. And she would say, no, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. Yes, I would earn a pay from it, but there's much more than pay in there. It is purpose. So for me, and that's why I keep saying, in pain, there is purpose. So what ties it together is purpose. And if you're living a purposeful life, because you know you have a limited time to build and to transfer, then you've got to work. I don't want to say time management. You've got to work with less distraction on your part. So how do you do all this? It's without distraction. Because what somebody can say is, oh, you're just getting too busy. No, I'm working in life with less or no distraction. Because you've got to do this, you've got to do this, you've got to do this. There will be no time to be distracted. That's the key for me. It's living life, because I believe today that many are programmed thinking that they're actually living free. I think the life that we live today is the life that others has programmed us to live. And I want to live away from those programs and live the life God wants me to live. And the way is not being distracted by Netflix, not being distracted by you said you came in and you met us. The only thing we're discussing was Bible. And I laugh at myself that why am I discussing that? We're discussing the book of Genesis 22. Why? Because we people will remember those things and say, I learned something. Purpose and live a life with less or no distraction. That for me is why I'm into all these things.
So let me ask this question. A lot of times they say you can't be wealthy, you can't be rich and be a child of God. And I've heard people say that,
Okay.
strangely enough.
Yeah.
Can a man be deeply spiritual and still be wildly successful?
Yes, I think if a man is spiritual and is not successful, the two things, he may have misdefined what success is. Possibly his definition of success is money. That's the problem. Success is not money. So I'm spiritual, and because I'm spiritual, Jeremiah 29:11 says, my expectation, which is a success, is sure. It says, I'll give you good success. Joshua chapter 1, verse 8. I'll give you good success. It didn't say I'll give you good money. If money comes in the way, yeah, that's good. But it's the least. I think money is the least of what people term as success. I'll give an example, and I've been ruminating over this. People can get money easily today. Somebody can go on YouTube today, and in 1 week, he knows what to do, algorithm-wise. He can get over a 10,000 subscriber base. Money starts rolling in, but doesn't make him successful. For me, you should be spiritual, and you would get success, according to Joshua 1:8. The problem is we have misdefined what success is. The moment we understand what the definition of success, which is, why am I here? What am I using my time for here? Is to affect one man at a time. Is to replicate. Success is replicating yourself in people's lives. But I'll explain further. Who is in your life? It's Jesus. So you are replicating Jesus in people's lives. But using you as a reference to say, Jesus, I know him. How? Because someone. So if you understand the definition of success, you'll be spiritual. If you understand the meaning of success, you will be spiritual, because life itself is spiritual.
Okay, get to explain life itself. I've heard my dad say something similar.
Yeah.
That life itself is spiritual.
Yeah.
The physical is controlled by the spiritual. So a lot of battles and things have happened in the spiritual, and it's only manifesting itself in the physical.
Correct. Yeah.
So would you care to explain that a bit more?
Okay, so if we know that success is not about money, and it's not money, it's replication of the spirit. It says, let thy kingdom come. So it means there is something higher than this realm that we want to pull into this realm. Hold on, that's spirit. So how do people in the flesh replicate a super realm, or a realm that we don't all know in this realm? I think that is that's why I said life is spiritual. Because it says, let thy kingdom come, let thy will be done on earth. So we humans are gods on this earth. What we need to do as ambassadors is to replicate a super realm, a kingdom of God on here. And that makes life spiritual, because that realm, who rules in that realm? It says God is a spirit. God is a spirit. And that realm is a realm of imagination. That realm is a realm of it's not about gold on the street somewhere. It's about the kingdom of peace. It's a kingdom of joy. It's a kingdom when you think of a thing, it happens. I was explaining this. It's a kingdom where there is no vacuum. It's I'm going to do this, and then you already visualize yourself. It's not a kingdom of manifestation, because manifestation is only a birth. It's only the birthing of something that you've imagined. But life is spiritual because there's a realm where things are possible, where all things are possible, and we're trying to replicate that realm on earth. And it's the realm of the unseen. It's a realm of faith, where what I believe is possible. It's not a realm of money. God does not have money in heaven. God does not have money in heaven. But it says love, peace, and joy in the Holy Ghost. That's the realm we're trying to, a realm where I have no bad feeling for you. I love you. No matter who you are, I love you. That's the realm we're trying to. So that's the nature of the Spirit. Joy, peace, and righteousness. That's the realm we're trying to replicate. When nothing anyone does to me offends me. When nothing anyone does to me, that's the realm we're trying to replicate. It's not a realm of money. Money will finish here. Success is the replication of a realm where I have no offense to you. A realm of joy, a state of being, a realm of peace, even in the storms around, and a realm of right living with God. That is the realm. When you can replicate that realm here, then you're successful. And for me, that's why I say I have a state of joy. That's the realm. I don't have any reason to be offended at you. You can do things. I will settle myself and I will say that what you did is unfair. It doesn't mean we won't be the right boundaries, but then right living with God. If I can replicate that realm here, we are all winning for it. And that's success. That's spirit.
Yeah. You mentioned imagination.
Yeah.
I'm personally battling through that right now.
Okay.
Because to me, imagination is not necessarily something that is true. Not necessarily something that is reality.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So
yeah.
I can imagine something. I can imagine a horse with a horn.
Okay.
And say, oh, that's a unicorn. I don't see any way that can ever be made a reality.
Okay.
Living, I could obviously sculpt. So would imagination be the right word in this case?
Ephesians 3 talks about everything you think and imagine. God will do exceedingly abundantly above those things. So it uses the word imagination. Now, let's break it down this way. If success is the replication of a kingdom, that's a spirit on earth. That's one. And we are ambassadors. I think this is where we need to get to. It's not about imagining, an animal that has a horn. That's no. It's my imagination from a place of love. What I'm thinking, how can I benefit the next person? That's the imagination. I'll give an example why I'm saying this. The Wright brothers, I think they created the aeroplane. It's about how can we fly? Why? So that we may be able to move people quicker. The problem is imagination about selfish desires is not what we're talking about here. Success is I imagine, how can I make this, what's inside a man, replicated in millions of people, the right thing? That is what we should imagine. How can I make Jesus be known to the world? What's the fastest way to do it? If I keep talking to one person at a time, maybe it's going to take a long time. You know what? We're going to do Hallelujah Challenge, for example, and where 1 million people will join. That is what we should imagine. So it's the subject of imagination that matters. Are you imagining for your own selfish desire? Are you imagining to replicate the kingdom? As we've said, is success. That's what. So I'm not imagining a unicorn, because that's just someone just thinking of something. I'm imagining. And this is why imagination can be used in both ways. Because the law of imagination can be new age and can be spiritual. Now, if the principle of imagination is used by a new age person, it will work because it's a principle that has been put in to work. But when a believer uses the law of imagination to operate, what's the end goal? That the glory of the Lord can fill the earth like waters fill the sea. Habakkuk 2:14. That's what we should imagine. That's why an unbeliever can imagine, I'm going to do a movie. It's going to be so powerful and 1 million people will view it. There are many other keys that we can talk about. And I'm going to say one of them is the ability to imagine from a place of meditation. Now, even an unbeliever can meditate. It says the evil man shuts his eyes that he may be able to control the other person. That's evil. But it's a principle of imagination that's been used. So when I say to imagine, I'm imagining with Christocentric lens. but somebody else. But you must always, to imagine means what's the benefit to somebody. It's always about somebody else. How can I bring someone to see my own view, positive or negative? But how can I bring? It's always about what are you sharing? I don't want to use this word. I just have to use it in this context. What's the? I want to be careful so I don't use this. But it's what am I giving now? What's the vibration? I know it's a new age term, but I wanted to, so that people can understand. That's what I'm saying. I'm not just imagining that I want to live in a big house. I asked this question for my wife, and I'm going to say it clearly. I said, babe, we're buying a big house. What's the benefit? Why are we buying it? Many years ago, I said, we're moving into something bigger. Why are we doing it? I've imagined that we're going to be there. And I will say this. I got to a place of peace. Don't forget, and that word again, peace. When I knew that I'm setting aside a place in the house to worship God. Like, oh, there is a God factor in this for me. It's okay, then let's go. But somebody said, I'm buying it. I can afford it, that's why I'm buying it. No, I'm not buying because I can afford it. But there's something much more. I remember I'll give an imagination that I had a car, and I said, I saw in church that people needed, to do things with. And I said, you know what? I'm going to sow my own car to buy what I don't need to make sure that people can benefit from it. I imagined it, sold it. The good thing was that I got much more for the money for the car. I was able to buy it, and then it was benefiting people. So I imagine not just for my own self-comfort, but for benefiting and bringing forth the glory of God in it all.
Now that reminds me of Jesus.
Yeah.
When the disciples and people came to him and said, what is the greatest law? And he said, love God, love people.
Yeah.
He never said love yourself.
No.
Love God, love people. So when we talk about success, leaning in from what you've said, success is not about yourself.
No.
It's not about what I can accomplish.
No.
Even all of these great people, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, they were not thinking, what can I do for myself? No, it's how can I serve the community? How can I serve the world? How can I serve people better? Oh, I'm going to make a car that can run on electricity rather than petroleum or anything. Oh, I'm going to make a PC so that people can
easy to carry,
work on it. Oh, I'm going to create the World Wide Web so that people are able to communicate from distance and connect. Oh, I'm going to create Facebook so that people are able to get updates about people's lives. It's about people.
It's
not about yourself.
Love, agape love, it's not about you. It's much more than you. It's about people. We serve. We are here to serve. And when we serve, that's why I'm saying the principles can be used anyway. But when we are here to serve, the benefit of service is reward. There's a reward for service. And that's why people can get wealthy from service. But we just got to, success has nothing to do with how much money you have in the bank. I think that's where, and I think that's why people say, oh, no. Someone was talking to me about a man of God, Bishop Oyedepo, and he said, there's a home, an orphanage home in Abeokuta, that so often they will take truckloads of rice and stuff. Nobody needs to hear that on social media. I think one of the things that is that it's people make money from it. So its content is no longer pushing people to understand success as not the money in your bank. It's the lives you're impacting. It's the lives you're impacting.
Can I put this in that I just thought about right now? Could we say, I posed the question about the hardest argument against God earlier. What I said is the pain. Could we say that we as human beings are so self-centered and selfish that when we feel pain, we think it's about us?
Correct.
When something happens to us, we think
why
it's
me?
About us.
Yeah.
Why me?
Why me?
And we fail to see what the ripple effect, what God has in store for that.
Yeah.
The grief that you have been through, from that lens, you were able to comfort somebody else that was going through that.
Yeah.
From that lens, you were able to tell your story. From that lens, the grief, especially with your father, from that lens, you are able to look at your children and say, and look at your wife and make a wiser decision.
Yes.
So oftentimes when we look at pain, we shouldn't look at it about me.
Why me? That's the question I asked when I was praying in iMouth in 2022. Lord, it's painful. Yes. What next? That was it's not, Lord, why me? And maybe it's hard to teach these things in church or so, but my wife heard my prayers. It was that question. Lord, it's painful. I'm not saying it's nice. No, it's painful. This is evil. I even said this is evil. I'm not saying it's you, Lord. And I don't know, but this is evil. And evil is part. Don't forget, the tree of good and evil was in the same garden with the tree of life.
Mhm.
But don't forget, the tree of good and evil is not the tree of life. So good and evil go together. But there's something different, life. So it's not about, good, I want good. Hold on. When you have good, you must have evil with it because it's a tree. Please don't see a physical tree. But the knowledge can be good and can be evil.
Exactly.
And then there is a knowledge that is distinct called life. So when we pursue good, a man that has £1 million today could go into bankruptcy tomorrow. Good and evil go hand in hand. But the question is, how do I show the abundant life in this? And I said to her, yes, Lord, this is evil. I'm not saying it came from you. No, I'm not saying that. But this is evil because it's painful. Yeah, it is painful. Why me alone? Why me alone? Lord, this is someone I love so much. I still wrote a tribute yesterday on Facebook for him. But one thing I said is, Lord, what next? What next? What is this going to do next? What am I going to train or disciple to be strong, to be able to have this kind of pain and still be able to say, Lord, I'm not leaving you? That's the question. What next? But now I'm trusting you to take me by the hand into what next? And that's where it's pain, it comes from within you, but it's not for you. It's for you to sit down and say, there's much more than pain. What's the purpose in pain? And you move on.
Now that is powerful.
Because, you can stay stranded in it.
Yeah.
Because people will wonder, I went for counseling. So it's not, I did because I could not bottle it up. My wife said, you must go for counseling. I've never done it in my life. Despite say, you're grieving. So I went. But I said something. The man asked the question. And I said, all I'm doing every single day is holding on to the crevice of the rock. In Jesus, there will be a place for me to hold. And he will not let me go. I'm holding on. That's it. What next?
Do you think counseling helped?
Well, I helped myself. If you're not willing to let go and wait on what's next, counseling will not help you. Because it's about you. It's about you. So on my 40th birthday, I was thinking of writing a book on grief. I just didn't. I just left it. I said, no, I'm not writing it yet. It will come. But my second book is about to come out. So which is going to be about, it's going to be about living a life that is programmed by the prophetic, living life by God's design. But that's come from a place of the lessons of my life around this thing. Did counseling help me? I helped myself in counseling because the counselor is there to listen. You are just going to talk. It will not tell you what to do or what not to do. So while you're speaking to your counselor, you must be willing to let go and look out the horizon. What is next? So I would say it helped me because I was able to talk, but I was ready to help myself. Counseling is good as long as you know what you're trying to get from it.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying, counselor, you didn't help me. No. I went in with the mindset that I'm here to help myself.
Got it.
That's it. So
this has been fantastic. Let me wrap up with this.
Okay.
If you had to summarize life in one sentence, and that same sentence your grandchildren will repeat over and over and over again, what would it be?
Live life by building other men. Live life by building other men. Children, wife, people. But while you're living life, you're building other people. For me, I think that's the only, for me, because inheritance. So live life by building. I might not know everybody in the world, but everyone in my cycle of influence will be built one at a time by something I know. Even if it's just one touch I have with someone, I want to leave a mark, a good mark, a life mark that will say, I met him and I know him. Yes, he helped me. Because when we pass, it's how much you've built men that they will say, not how much you have.
Yeah.
So it's how much you have built men. And for me, that's true inheritance. Inheritance is not the house. My father's house, which we talked about, I've not seen that house in many years. I went home recently and I didn't even go there. Not because I didn't want to go there, but I just didn't have the time. So I didn't go there. But the house is there. Things will fade. Cars will fade. The real inheritance is what you leave to people in them. So that when they wake and say, his legacy is this, this, this. It's not going to be house, money. It's the books you've written. It's the words you've said that stood with them. It's the times you've been there as a shoulder for them. It's the hugs you've given them. Those things that are not solid, but they are internalized, are the things that matter. So for me, live life. Every day you wake up, what can I build today? While you're building yourself, living life, making money, where else can I build today? That for me is what I, live life by building men.
Awesome. It has been a privilege to speak with you today. Thank you so much, Pastor.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
God bless.
You're welcome.